Hello again everyone, back again with the answers, this time for your sport and advertising quiz. So you've probably been doing a bit of YouTubing since we last chatted with the quiz to watch some of these adverts again and bring back a few memories hopefully. I'll run through the questions, give a little bit of background to the answers where I can and see how we get on. So let's start at the beginning then with number one and see how you fared. So number one, we asked you that in 1979, who were the first professional English football team to strike up a shirt sponsorship deal? And your answer should have been Liverpool Football Club. And the sponsor, if you wanted the sponsor, was Hitachi. Now, some of you might have been thinking it was not the right answer. There was another club who had an earlier sponsorship deal, but they were non-league, so non-professional. So that's why Liverpool was the answer. So the non-league team that had a deal was in 1976, Kettering Town, and they were sponsored by Kettering Tyres. But Liverpool take the accolade as being the first professional English team. And then since then they've had many sponsors: Crown Paints, Candy, Carlsberg, Standard Chartered I think we've got now. So Hitachi were their first main sponsor. That's number one. Number two. So the advert from 1980s by the Milk Marketing Board had two young boys playing football and they go for a drink afterwards and one goes for the milk and the other one goes, ugh, horrible. And the other one says, Ian Rush said, if I don't drink my milk, I'll only be good enough to play for, and then he says, Accrington Stanley. I'll only be good enough to play for Accrington Stanley, who at the time were a non-league side, not doing great, but it definitely raised their profile. They did make a little bit of money out of it. Interestingly, with this advert, they did actually want to use Tottenham Hotspur as the original team, which obviously wouldn't have gone down too well if you're a Spurs fan. So Spurs declined the offer to be used in the advert, and Accrington Stanley got that position instead. So number two, Accrington Stanley. Number three, maybe a bit an easier one this. Kevin Keegan and Henry Cooper both advertised which product? And it was Brute 33. They did two adverts together, and then Henry Cooper also did an advert with, that's right, Barry Sheen. And they also advertised Brute 33. They're all on YouTube if you want to have a look. They're a bit corny. I think they're obviously from the 1970s, so a bit dated. That's number three. Number four. J.R. Hartley was looking for a book on which sport? I assume you all got that one. Fly fishing. It was indeed fly fishing. It was a Yellow Pages advert, I think from the early 80s. Older chap, goes out to the second-hand bookshop, goes to the library, no chance, no joy, comes back home, and it's like the daughter said to him, why don't you give the Yellow Pages a bell? So he gives them a bell, gets on the line to someone, and the famous bit in the advert is where he goes, my name, J.R. Hartley. And it's amazing how that's known by so many people now, even from years ago. Question number five. Which Formula One racing driver teamed up with the comedy duo Morecambe and Wise to advertise Texaco products? And the answer to this is James Hunt. James Hunt, this would have been 77, 78. He'd already won the Drivers' Championship by then, so he was hot property in the world of advertising. If you haven't watched those YouTube clips, definitely watch them. They are really good, particularly watching Eric Morecambe interact with James Hunt it's really good. So that's number five, James Hunt. Number six, Misha was the chosen mascot for Moscow 80. The mascot did really well, sold huge amounts, great merchandising, But what was Misha? Misha was a bear. Misha the bear, heavily advertised on stamps, on cuddly toys, cartoon clips, all sorts of stuff. Misha was a bear. That's number 6. Number 7. Which heavyweight boxer has advertised Persil, Kleenex, Mars, HP sauce? And it was, of course, our very own Frank Bruno. Frank Bruno. So, well done if you got that one right. Number 8. So this one was about get yourself a mate called Smith. Was advertising which product and what was the sport. The product, of course, was John Smith's lager. Hence, get yourself a mate called Smith. And the sport was rugby. And that advert was from 1983. Very popular in its time, probably because of that tune that they used. So, John Smith's lager and rugby. Number 9. In 1985, which track and field star advertised Lucozade drink? And it was the gold medalist, Olympic champion, Daley Thompson, the decathlete. Remember him? Gold at Moscow 1980 and gold at Los Angeles 84. Daley advertised the Lucozade. It was the one with the traffic lights. Do you remember he was down in the sprint position? The lights were on red like it was a Formula 1 star. They flicked to green and off he went out of the blocks. And if you noticed in the advert, he was drinking the original Lucozade drink, not the Lucozade Sport, which came on much later on, probably in the 90s at some point. So, Daley Thompson for number 9. Number 10. I think most of you get this one. In the Pizza Hut advert, who put a paper bag over his head? The England manager, Gareth Southgate. Why was that? Well, it was only about 9 months that advert came out when he missed the penalty at Euro 96 when we were playing Germany. Obviously, it took him a while to get over. But did you notice the other 2 players in the advert? Stuart Pearce and Chris Waddle, who obviously both missed a penalty themselves playing Germany in the semi-finals of the World Cup in 1990. So between the 3 of them, they all knew what it was like. So number 10, Gareth Southgate. Number 11. So number 11 starts with Graham Taylor, former England manager, ringing Bobby Robson, former England manager, and having a little chat. And then we see Graham making a phone call through Yellow Pages to arrange a cake delivery. And the cake goes to Terry Venables. So it's from 1994. So Terry had not long been manager, and it was a little take on them giving him a bit of a good luck wish. The cake, when Terry opened the cake, it was the picture of a lion with its mouth wide open with someone shoving their head in the lion's mouth. So a little bit of a joke there saying, we know what's coming. So number 11, Terry Venables. Number 12, for you Liverpool fans out there, see if you remember this one. Which former Liverpool player advertised the Wash and Go shampoo back in 1998? Did you need to look this one up or did you know it? Well, the answer is Jason McAteer. Often a bit forgotten, probably, in some quarters, but he did pretty well in his Liverpool time. And he did advertise the Wash and Go shampoo product. Jason McAteer. Number 13. Bit harder, I think, this one. Hello World were the words used by Nike in their first campaign to advertise which man's prodigious talents. And this one was the golfer. That's right. Tiger Woods. And they've done other adverts with Tiger since then, but that was their first one. So that was Nike advertising Tiger Woods in that advert. Okay, 2 to go. Number 14. Sally Gunnell and Will Carlin have both advertised which product. It's a food product, and it's more commonly advertised in recent years by Mo Farah. Quorn meat substitute. Sally Gunnell, the Olympian, the 400-metre hurdler, of course, and Will Carlin, the rugby player, both of which, at the height of their fame, were advertising Quorn as a healthy meat substitute. And finally, we've got to number 15, and this is going back to the 1980s, a TV advert, and it's a snooker player. So which snooker player ate Heinz baked beans as he grew up? And the answer is Steve Davis. If you remember the advert, he was sat with all the things on the table lined up like he was on a snooker table. And his mum came to the table, picked up the salt or the pepper pot, cleaned it like it was the cue ball, and put it back on the table again. So it was just a little bit of a take on the snooker table, and lots of little Britons have grown up eating Heinz baked beans, of course. So I hope you've enjoyed that journey through TV, advertising, commercials, etc. I do find a lot of people get a little bit more nostalgic when it comes to adverts because you've grown up with them. It triggers a lot of more memories. They're nice to look back on, a lot of these adverts, because although they're dated, they're a nice sort of journey, aren't they, through how things have developed. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next time for another Sporting Memories quiz. Bye bye now.